Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. So my name is Veronica, and I live in San Francisco. And one of my co-hosts will be Vera Solovyova. She lives in Washington, D.C. So it's so nice to meet you. Let me please connect Vera. So I heard that you are now in Canada, right?
Yes. So I am from San Francisco. So
yeah.
Yeah. So how is it there now? How is San Francisco?
So the weather is beautiful as usual. Yeah, everything is very nice. So yeah, Donna, let me introduce Vera. Vera Solovyova. She's one of our, I think she's a main leader in the U.S. at least for Saha Diaspora. And she's the one who unites us, all the Saha people living in United States.
Thank you very much for such kind introducing, Veronica. I don't think that I'm so important, actually.
No.
No, it's like people like Saha people, Saha Diaspora, it's like they inspired us to be united, let's say. And it's very nice to meet you, Donna. Thank you very much that you agreed to participate in our live stream. I live in around Washington, D.C., so in Maryland, and yeah, very happy to see you and to be with Veronica. She's such a bright compatriot and my friend that I'm very proud of.
Thank you. So how about we start our live stream? And first, of course, can you please, Donna, introduce yourself to our followers? Brief introduction about your childhood in San Francisco, your college life, just student path and stuff.
So back to the beginning, huh? A long time ago. So so I'm from California. I grew up in Santa Clara, actually. So I was born in Santa Clara. So that's, you might know that, Silicon Valley, for those who are in Russia. And let's see, I went to university there at San Jose State. And then, let's see, for university, I decided I wanted to travel. So that's when I decided to become an English teacher. Because as an English teacher, you can work, anywhere in the world. And my first teaching job was in Hungary, in Europe. So I worked in a small town in Hungary. I lived there for 3 years, and that kind of made me very interested in languages and linguistics, because learning a language like Hungarian, it was a very interesting and fun experience. And let's see, after that I went to Russia for my first time. That was in 2001. I taught at a university in Orenburg. And so then I became interested in Russia. It was a good experience. And after that, I came back to the U.S. and I went to graduate school. I did a master's in linguistics. So that was at Berkeley.
Interrupt you. Which year it was?
When I came back to the U.S.
Yeah, and when you first went to Russia.
So I first went to Russia in 2001.
2001. Okay.
Yeah. So that was just for one, actually just less than a year, for several months in 2001.
Yeah, may I interrupt you asking one question, on our way to deeper conversation? What kind of life events, or just in general, what made you to choose Russia as a second country you wanna like live and work?
Actually, it wasn't. I applied for a program. It was the Soros teaching program.
Ah, okay.
And that was just one of my choices. So, you know, you could. Well, they kind of choose where they need people. So I had, you know, a couple of choices, and so I said, oh, let's go. You know, let me go to Russia. I didn't really. Before that, I hadn't studied Russian, or I didn't know that much, you know, beyond what people normally know about Russia. You know, maybe I knew some authors or had read some classic literature, but yeah, just it was kind of a quick thing where I got the job, and then a few weeks later I went to Russia. So I didn't know anything before I arrived in Orenburg.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's actually brave. It's very brave, I think. When you don't know nothing, it's like I just went there.
Yeah, when I was I remember when I was, you know, on the plane going over there, I was kind of getting nervous and kind of didn't want the plane to land, you know, like oh no, what's going to happen? And actually when I landed, I think I landed in Samara, the city of Samara.
Interesting. And from which airport it was, like flight from, not Moscow?
No, it was like from Frankfurt to Samara.
Oh, okay.
And then the people met me there. But I remember, so I landed there, and then something happened where like the lights went out on the plane, and I somehow lost my passport.
Oh.
And so my first experience, I was so nervous, and then I got into the airport, and I couldn't find my passport, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I showed up in Russia without a passport. But luckily one of the workers was able to find it, and you know, everything was okay. But yeah, I was nervous, but you know, once I got there, it was fine.
May I ask, one of our viewers right now is asking a question about the season in terms of like what time of the year was it? Like summer, winter?
Oh, it was winter. It was like maybe January or yeah. Yeah, it was quite cold.
Yeah, and I mean 2001 is like right after Paris. I mean, Russia just started to opening up for the world, and it should be really a tough experience, I imagine.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time. I mean, very different than Russia now. I mean, I remember at that time there weren't a lot of, for example, there weren't a lot of cafes and restaurants. Like people didn't go out to eat. People,
right?
You know, my colleagues and I would gather at each other's apartments,
yeah,
and cook. So it was different. The culture was different than now.
Can I ask, Donna? So you went to Samara and to the western part of Russia, but how you got interested in Sakha Republic? Like
yeah, good question. So this was several years later, of course, that I went to Yakutsk. So in the meantime, well, a lot of things happened in my life in the meantime. That super long story, but I was in Russia for only, you know, less than a year, but I always felt like I wanted to go back. But I didn't, and I had this curiosity about like Siberia and the eastern part of Russia, because when I was there, I traveled for my job in the western part. So I went to like, you know, Moscow and St. Petersburg and Ufa and Samara and, you know, cities over there. But I didn't get a chance to go east of the Urals. And so I always wanted to go there. And then in 2013, I decided that I wanted to I wanted to go back into teaching. I wanted to live somewhere else, you know. Like San Francisco is wonderful, but I wanted to change.
It was too good.
I had been there for 15 years, you know, like, and it's like, well, everything was kind of, you know, there wasn't anything new. So
Yeah.
I decided to look for something abroad. So I was open to maybe South America, because I also, you know, I speak Spanish, and I like that culture. And then I was thinking about Russia. And so I was just looking, and I saw an advertisement for I Speak English. At that time, it had a different name. And so I thought, oh, you know, Yakutsk, that's interesting. I didn't really know about, you know, I'd heard the name, but I didn't know anything about the Saha Republic. But I just saw, oh, you know, Siberia, like, you know, it looks like an interesting idea. So I applied for that. I applied for a couple other jobs, but then after interviewing with, you know, the but I Speak English, they were very nice, and I decided that it seemed like a good place to go.
Yeah, interesting. So I wanted to add that my husband also went to Berkeley, and he was also like overwhelmed in terms of like he was bored in San Francisco basically. So he went for work to China. He spent a lot of time there, and then he was so much curious about Republic of Saha, Yakutia. So that's the place we met.
Oh, wow. Very interesting.
It's actually very interesting, and like thank you, Veronica, that sharing this part of your life. But Donna, can I ask, like, when you arrived to Yakutsk, it was fall or winter or spring or summer?
It was in February, like the end of February.
Oh, so it was cold, right?
It was, yeah, it was still cold. It was, you know, kind of the end of winter, or, you know, yeah, still winter, but not like, you know, minus 50, but it was still, I think it was minus 30 when I arrived. So,
and what is your first impression of our city? It's like my homeland too, so it's like my home city, actually, right?
Yeah.
What is your first impression?
Well, it was very beautiful to me. Like, it was, you know, everything was white, and there were like ice sculptures everywhere. It just looked like a, you know, winter wonderland kind of. Yeah, so you know, it was something very, very different than any place I'd been before. You know, and people walking around wearing fur, and, you know, just, it looked like, you know, kind of magical.
And Veronica, your husband, which season he arrived to Yakutsk?
In summer, for the first time in summer. Yeah.
The first time in summer, I see.
Yeah, and how do you handle cold in Yakutsk, being from sunny California?
Well, as you know, San Francisco is not that sunny. But yeah, I mean, just like anybody, just, you know, wearing the right clothes, wearing the, you know, good boots, and you know, good coats. And I don't like really hot weather.
Okay.
Yeah, like I've spent time in Mexico, which I love, but there are certain places where it's just too hot. I'd rather be somewhere cold.
But how about people? I'm sorry. Like, did you see any difference between like people in western part and eastern part? Like, what do you think? It's like this
of Russia?
Yeah, in Russia, like that.
That's a good one.
Did you notice some differences between our people and other people? Let's say it's like probably it's not ethically correct a little bit, but I'm very curious about that actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, in different cultures, so definitely, you know, like that's one thing that's interesting about Republic of Saha. Like, you know, you have it's still Russia, and you have Russian culture, but also Saha culture, and two languages. I mean, of course, in the West, I met people who also were from different cultures, like who spoke like Tatar or Bashkir or, you know, other languages. But in Yakutia, it's maybe more, it's a stronger feeling of, you know, another culture besides Russian.
Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a question, Donna. How many languages do you speak? And you know, and also, oh yeah. So first one, first one is how many languages can you speak?
Well, let's see, English, Spanish, Hungarian. I mean, some of these, like, I used to speak Hungarian very well. I haven't met anybody to speak with for a while, so I don't know. But I think I still remember. You know, of course, I've studied Russian, and I did learn. I tried to learn some Saha. I mean, I can say a few words. I can't speak it very well, but I understand a lot.
Here and there.
A lot of words. Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have enough chance or opportunities to travel in the Republic? And what places have you visited so far?
Yes. So let's see. I've been. I visited a lot of places that are kind of not too far from Yakutsk. I mean, you know, of course, I've been to the places that most tourists go to, like Lena Pillars and, you know, those kinds of places, like to see the natural, you know, kind of areas. And I've been to Gorny district quite a bit. Let's see, I've visited for work, for like visiting schools. I've been to like Velusk and Turapcha and some other you know, smaller towns and villages. I can't remember everything, unfortunately. I've been to, let's see, Amga, you know, for the river, and yeah, I've traveled quite a bit outside the city. I haven't been to the far north yet. I mean, that's the other place I'd like to visit sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vera?
And it's interesting about the visits, but most time you probably spent in Yakutsk, right? Like teaching English. And what the difference between probably like students, or maybe like teaching, or maybe other stuff, like between Yakutsk, maybe Berkeley, and maybe in Hungary. It's like can you make please comparison and tell a little bit about that, like differences and
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, in some ways, students are the same everywhere. I think in Yakutsk, maybe students are less talkative at first, like especially teenagers, compared to Hungarian. At least they were pretty outgoing. But yeah, it depends on the students, of course. You know, like I've taught teenagers and university students and adults, and you know, there's obviously differences depending on the age that you teach and the motivation, you know, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's like in Saha Republic, like which age range is more motivated to learn English?
Probably, well, adults, of course, if they choose to study themselves. So, you know, my classes with adults are always fun. University students, some are very motivated. There's, you know, usually, as far as learning English, students are motivated. You know, even if maybe they're not you know, they don't love being in school or being in, you know, being students or studying, but they do recognize that English is important. So so usually they do want to learn. They don't necessarily want to do homework and, you know, write essays or that kind of thing, but they want to improve their English. So
yeah.
You know,
So and we. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Like just I will tell a little bit memory from my life because, you know, like I grew up in the village, and I remember we were sitting at school and just, you know, like waiting for the English teacher. That's like they change it like every year, and we were like talking to each other. Why we need to learn this English? It's like it's just nonsense. Like we don't need that language at all. And then when I came here, I was like, why I didn't learn before? You know, so it's yeah, it's very different now, of course.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I think now a lot of people want to.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to catch up with our comments. So our followers can leave their comments and questions here, like here down below. So one person is saying that, oh, Donna took really active part in social life in Yakutsk, and they appreciate that. So that's the note of appreciation. Before that, in the beginning of our stream, there was also a nice comment that you already feel like to be a Saha person. Yeah, and the last there is one more question concerning Saha cuisine. How do you like it, and what's your favorite dish?
Yeah, I do like it. Let's see, my favorite. So I like stroganina, and also the like. I don't know. Actually, I forget the name of it, but like it's like also like stroganina, but it's like horse liver. Yeah, it's like raw, like the raw frozen horse liver. That's really delicious.
Yeah, and it's really very healthy actually to eat. Yeah.
It seems like it is. Yeah.
Somebody was like, "Oh, no, Donna же я So you are Saha."
Yeah, so actually that's my first time ever actually hearing that like a foreigner, being a foreigner, somebody likes frozen horse liver. Because usually people say, "Oh, it's like, oh my God, this is something insane. This is how can possibly you guys eat raw liver or just even like horse meat, right?" Yeah.
I have a funny story about that. So a couple years ago, a friend came. I was in Yakutsk, and a friend from Japan came to visit. And in Japan, they also eat raw horse meat. And so we went to a restaurant, and she said, "Oh, let's try it. Let's try the." So we ordered it, but we forgot to tell her that it was liver. And so she went to take a bite, and she was expecting just regular horse meat, and then the look on her face when she tasted that it was actually liver, she's like, "It's liver." So, and then afterwards it was okay, but we should have warned her that it wasn't just meat, but it was liver, because it has a very strong taste, right?
Yeah, right. And also, I think in Western countries, people associate liver with like a filter organ. So that's why they feel like disgusted a little bit, maybe. But I have to really like explain my family here, saying that like our cows and horses are really like free range. They don't, they're not fed with like antibiotics or just like, I don't know, cornmeal or something. Yeah. So they're like grass fed, free range.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, that's very important, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here, like we see that, like people say that always nice to see you, Donna. And they say that good morning to all. Yes, good morning. We have our guest, Donna. It's very nice to talk to you.
Nice to see my friends here.
It's very nice that friends, visited our live stream.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's actually recently we had a conversation with the chief from Reka Ozera Les. And over there, which I tried that frozen horse liver, but you cannot even feel that liver because it like had a lot of interesting thing inside. So you know, probably you, another friend can try it. Like if you go there, it's very, very delicious. And
good to know.
Like name is Hurstik or something like that, right? I don't remember myself. So do you have another question, Veronica?
Yeah, so Donna knows that we have a lot of questions. Very nice. So my next question is regarding campus life. So we all know that you got your master's degree at top university, the world top university at Berkeley. And also worked for our university in Yakutsk, and now you're getting your PhD degree in Canada. So what kind of what like aspects of campus life here and there you can just point at, and just what's kind of interesting, what interesting moments can you remember?
Yeah, so I guess so now, being on campus here in Canada, it's a little bit different because of the pandemic. So there's a lot of restrictions. So it's hard to say, like, I'm not sure what it's like normally. It's quite, it's a bit quiet now. There isn't much going on. You know, there aren't many like extracurricular activities or social events. I think because of the pandemic, you know, we have some classes in person and some online, but then, you know, anytime there's like a conference or, you know, normally like for example, at Berkeley, there were always a lot of events in the departments. So academic things like conferences or talks, or students would, you know, one difference is, you know, students would decide themselves to like form a group to study something, or to maybe read and discuss some, you know, articles or you know, whatever. And so it was there was always stuff going on. It was very active. But now here it's not like that, but I think it's because of the pandemic, really, you know, because like, yeah, here you know, I'm staying on campus now, and it's very quiet.
Yeah.
You know, and there's also like comparing the facility. So for a couple months, I lived in the dormitory at Nefu in Yakutsk. And yeah, it was actually kind of nice. Like here, the room is nice, and you know, my neighbor, we share a kitchen, and you know, my neighbor's my kind of sweet mate. She's wonderful. But when you move in here, there's nothing. They don't give you like blankets or sheets, or there's no dishes. You have to kind of buy everything. But I was complaining. I was like, yeah, well, in Yakutsk, at least they gave us, you know, like blankets and sheets, and there were pots and pans and dishes in the kitchen. so that's one thing where I thought the dorms there were better.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that in Canada you have to buy everything yourself.
Everything. I mean, there's furniture, but the bed is just like a mattress. You have to bring or buy, you know, like I brought with me, like you have to bring a pillow and sheets, and, you know, I flew here, so I only have so much room in my bag. Yeah. And then you have to buy blankets and, you know, glasses and, you know, plates and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's nothing in the room. So.
You may ask how long will it take to get your PhD degree in Canada, and what part of Canada are you in, and also are you planning to go back to Yakutsk?
So yes, so I'm in Ottawa, in the capital, and the PhD program, I think the quickest I could do it is 4 years, which is my goal, but it might take 5 years.
Yeah.
And I do plan to go back to Yakutsk during that time, because I'm hoping to have my research be on something related to like to Yakutsk or to Saha.
Oh, great.
So I'm studying, it's a linguistics program, but the focus is on language documentation and revitalization. And I'm interested because I'm a teacher and I taught for many years, or I still teach actually, at NEFU online. So I'm interested in developing language materials for other languages, like, you know, languages where there aren't a lot of materials. So modern materials for Saha, or for other languages that people might want to learn.
Yeah, that's great.
It's interesting. Like, what kind of materials? It's like
anything can be, you know, textbooks or audio-visual materials. Especially, I'm thinking more modern things like audio-visual materials, or you know, it could be apps, or you know, whatever people are interested in, really. So obviously, I wouldn't do that by myself, but it'd be like, you know, working in consultation and with people who speak the language, with my colleagues probably at NEFU.
Oh, it's a beautiful idea. Yeah, it's really
Thank you.
Yeah,
and that way, like, I want to go back. I mean, I miss Yakutsk, so that way I can get my PhD, but also spend time there.
Yeah, and you know, like, I don't think a lot of people like a lot of people have been digging into Saha language in general. So I think it's like a huge niche to explore and to, like, you know, to bring something in. So. And I think all Saha people would appreciate, and not only Saha in terms of like intercultural communication, it will be like a really great experience.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you for saying so.
So your PhD major is linguistic anthropology, or what is that?
It's linguistics.
Linguistics only, like, not anthropology, right?
Yeah. Although the program is it's kind of interdisciplinary, so like it does connect with applied linguistics, which is about teaching languages, and also anthropology. Like that, you know, we can take courses in anthropology if that's what we're interested in. But the degree is called, you know, it's the linguistics department mainly.
I see. And then, like, we have some questions that our auditor are very interested in food. Have you tried reindeer burger? And another question is like, what are your favorite places to eat out in Yakutsk?
So reindeer burger. Well, I remember at Muskaya, they had that venison burger. Like, it was a very like big burger. I don't think it's on the menu anymore, but that was good. It was quite big though, but I did try it, and I don't know if another place also has that kind of burger, but yeah, the restaurants, there's a lot of good places to eat. So I like Muskaya. You mentioned the other one. What was it? The
Reka Ozera Les.
Reka Ozera Les. Where else did I? Kare. Kare was good.
Yeah.
They had the best pizza, I remember, and also other dishes were good. And Yeah, there are several good like, cafes and, places that I like to go.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. And returning to the education field, let's say, could you please, what do you think about that? Or maybe, do you have any advices how to keep, preserve, and revitalize languages? Like recently we had, for example, in our Instagram, we had very good conversation with linguistic that from Russia who was studying the languages of the small number of indigenous people, and she was kind of pessimistic about the future of the language. And like we know that Saha language now has some difficulties. It's like because of that exams, because of that parents wanted their children to have kind of better future, so they just send them to Russian classes. And but like we know that keeping our native language is very important. So
Yeah.
can you like on your view, how can people keep it and why they have to keep the language? What do you think?
Yeah, so very good questions. So as for why, I mean, just if like in the US and Canada, a lot of the indigenous peoples have, they're going through a time where the languages are being lost, and they, and in that case, it wasn't their choice, of course, to give it up, to stop speaking their languages. But they're working very hard to try to revitalize their languages. And so like with Saha, there's still like, it's still vibrant, and I think it's important for people to like recognize the value of the language. Like if you look at other cultures where they are losing or have already lost all their native speakers, and how sad it is, and how even some languages where like the language wasn't spoken, and people are still trying to bring it back. Like even like, so for example, in America, there's some languages that weren't spoken for like 50 years or more, but the descendants are trying to revitalize it. So with Saha, like, yeah, it's still alive and well, although as you say, like, I mean, I know a lot of young people, a lot of my students who don't really speak it, or don't speak it well, they say. And so I think it's important for people with children to try to keep speaking it in the home if they can, and encourage, kind of teach their children that it's a valuable thing. And I think like, of course, they do have to know Russian for school, and now everybody wants to learn English, but English people can learn English anytime.
Yeah.
With Saha, it's like childhood is the best time. At least now there aren't that many opportunities to learn it later. Like if you don't learn when you're a child, then it's harder to learn later. Whereas English, easy to learn later. Not easy, but
especially like I was noticing that a lot of even my nephews and cousins, they start speaking English just because of YouTube channels. So much of it in English, so much content created in English. So like there is no need to like even like give a special attention to it. Just watch YouTube.
Right. So maybe we need more like Saha YouTube channels.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea.
Yeah, like more media, not make it like something you have to learn in school, but just
for fun, right?
For fun, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have a question about linguistics. So actually, my major was also in linguistics, and entering like maybe changing my career path here, I was thinking, okay, just linguistics is already, you know, like it's so much less in demand if you're not teaching maybe or doing your scientific work. So now here, at least in Bay Area, linguistics is associated with computational linguistics, with a lot of programming with like Python, like whatever language it can be. So what's your vision about future of linguistics? Do you think machine learning can substitute all, like, you know, all this human involved interaction, like even in translation, interpretation, things like that?
It'll be a while before machines totally replace us. They're getting better, but now we still need the human part. But I do think, like, as far as computational linguistics, I tell my students who are studying linguistics, like, that's the field to go into. Like, if you want, you know, a job that pays well, and you know, like a lot of these companies like Duolingo, Google, you know, as you know, like they look for linguists who have computer skills, programming skills. So that's a good combination of the, because usually in linguistics programs they don't teach you programming, right? It's totally separate.
Not at all, yeah.
But even for language, like the field I'm studying, like language documentation and revitalization, I'm learning that the more, like, you know, about programming and technology, the better. Like, there's a lot of, we have to do a lot of work with corpus, you know, corpora, and you know, there's software that we have to use to make, you know, like if you wanted to make a dictionary or all these kinds of things that you know, that you might want to do. It's an advantage to have programming skills. So definitely it's more and more a part of linguistics, but yeah, you still need the human part too.
Yeah, that's good to know. I think so too.
Yeah, it's so interesting, actually. I never thought about that. Yeah, it's good to know. And another thing that's like you can find on the internet using technology, it's your blog about the travel in Saha Republic. Like, how did you start your blog? Like, when you started, and like what idea like push you over there? It's like why you started.
Well, mainly it started as a way to just share, you know, photos and experiences with people back in America. So like for family and friends in America. And I was hoping to do it, like, to do more with it, like, you know, to have post something every week or even every month, but I usually was too busy, so the posts are kind of sporadic. But I did find, you know, other people read it too. Like I kind of met people online, like there were followers who, you know, I've never met in person, but who just enjoyed reading the blog. So, and sometimes, occasionally, people would contact me, like maybe they were going to visit Yakutsk, and they would contact me. So, and now you know, maybe I'll add some more to it, because I kind of got really behind. I got busy, and you know, I have more things, like a lot of photos that I never posted, or, you know, trips I took that I never wrote about. So maybe when I have time during the holidays, I'll post some more.
Yeah, that would be really nice, because it's like really the content about Yakutian in proper English. It's so hard to find.
Oh,
right?
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it is. Because even for us, it's like we have to translate from our native English to target language, which is English, and we're not native speakers. So it is still not ideal, I would say. You know.
Yeah, it's true. It's not ideal at all.
No, in terms of like, usually you write it and then you ask somebody, a native speaker, like to proofread it or something. Yeah. So, and
it's a lot of efforts. It's a lot of
effort. We really fell in love with your blog because we were in our Instagram team. We're discussing how much like nice pictures and words and like just in general your experience and how you see Yakutia is in it. So thank you for it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Donna, for that.
Thank you so much for saying so.
Yeah, and here's some questions that about the this time, like how we 2020 and 2021 for you. Any new skills during pandemic? Maybe like
so definitely, so of course it was difficult, but luckily for me, I was in Yakutsk when the pandemic started, and I stayed there until this summer. And so I was working online, and so that was my new skill. So in fact, I had been interested in learning, in doing online teaching before, but I had never had a chance to do it. So, then in March of 2020, we were all forced to to quickly learn how to conduct a lesson on Zoom, and it's a different way of teaching, and I do like some things about it. I mean, there are some things there are advantages and disadvantages, but it was definitely a good skill that I was forced to develop.
That's good.
Yeah, and what else we wanted to ask was, do you have any funny stories related to Yakutia, of you being in Yakutia, like I don't know, some funny, misunderstanding happened here and there, like some fun part of being in the coldest city on earth.
Yeah, I have to think about that, actually. Definitely there's a lot of stories, but I can't think of any like really good funny story off the top of my head.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. I can tell a little story that somebody told me when they came to Yakutsk. They're trying to find some place to eat, and they started to read and said, "What does mean pektapa? What does mean pektapa? It's restaurant." They read it like in English. Yeah, pektapa. So it was actually a place to eat.
And which one is that?
A restaurant.
Oh, restaurant! I see.
Yeah. So they reading the pektapa.
They're reading it.
Yeah. In Latin, in English also.
Yeah, in Latin. Mm-hmm. That does remind me of so my parents came to visit in 2015, and when we're coming out of the airport, my father said, "Oh, I already know the Russian word for entrance. It's BBIXO chair." So BBIXO chair. The D looks like a chair, like stool.
That's funny. So did they visit you in Orenburg, right? Or in Yakutsk?
No, in Yakutsk, yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And how did they like it?
They liked it. It was summer, so they didn't get to experience the cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really liked it. They went to a lot of places. I think it was a big adventure for them. Like we went to Lena Pillars and the drive and the trip on the small boats. Was a big adventure. I remember that the boat that my mom was on broke down, and so there was she was a bit nervous. But, yeah, so they really liked it. I'm really glad they came to visit, and they got to meet the people that I work with and my friends. So.
Yeah. Wow. How nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Uh-huh. And did you visit Edinburgh after that, like after your first time?
No, I haven't been back there. I'm curious. I'm sure it's different, but I'm not in touch with many people from there. I think maybe I have a couple of friends on Instagram or Facebook from that time, but
so your
I haven't
heart
really
actually
been in touch.
goes to Yakutsk, right? Somehow.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, can I ask one more question about your being in Yakutsk? What did you miss the most about California, living in Russia?
Let's see. I mean, I miss things like, maybe like cultural, like events that are more common in California, just being able to go see like a lot of like concerts, live bands, and of course San Francisco to do. So sometimes I miss that sort of thing, but there's a lot to do in Yakutsk too. I mean, there's a lot going on. So
yeah, so it's so nice to hear. And yeah, so like nobody is missing out, to know that Saha people also are not missing out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And did you try to drive in Yakutsk?
No.
No.
No, actually, yeah, I haven't driven for a while. I need to renew my driver's license. It expired a few years ago, so because in San Francisco I didn't have a car either. So.
And you don't need a car in San Francisco, actually. It's like
right.
Yeah.
It's
metro.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain to deal with the car.
Oh my God! Yes,
worry about parking.
I totally agree. I don't drive. Like usually, I don't drive to San Francisco. I take Caltrain. So I see Nikolai is commenting. Apparently he read your blog quite well, and he's saying that Donna wrote in her blog just that she missed Mexican food a lot.
True. Yes.
And here's like another question. What do you think of Saha traditional clothes and jewelry?
Oh, it's very beautiful. Yeah, I even, let's see, I have Saha earrings on now. So I have a lot of earrings, and the clothes and jewelry are very, very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
explain your meaning of that jewelry and clothing? Not yet? Or somebody?
Maybe some things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
but I don't know all of it.
It's actually very interesting that when I notice it in Western fashion, like usually people say that it's beautiful, but they don't have kind of meaning besides of that jewelry. For example, symbols and like a protection or something else. And Saha jewelry, it has a functional, like a protectional function. Not only beauty, but also something else, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we have the last question for today, which will be, in your opinion, Donna, what steps, like Russia in general or Yakutia, Republic of Saha particularly, should take to make the life of our people better, or to make Yakutia a better place?
It's a great question, Veronica. Yeah.
Like your perspective on that.
Yeah, it's a big question, but I think like the main things to appreciate the local language and culture, and keep those traditions, and also to I know a lot of people there really care about nature and the environment, and right now that's the most important thing, is to protect that for the future, and to always have that in mind when people are planning or building, or I think if we're talking about big big things. So I think like the environmental issues are the big ones for everywhere, but especially in Yakutia.
I think especially last summer, 2021 showed how much the fragile the environment is, and especially how much Saha permafrost takes so much not even pressure but like significance in the whole world, the planet environment. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's so true. So thank you so much, and
thank you.
I think that's our just like a meeting greeting live stream event, and I hope you will be our guest in our future.
In the future. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Person, for your such a positive view, and that your heart belongs to Yakutia. It's so nice to hear. And thank you, Monica. Yeah, thank you very much.
Like, we appreciate your time, and thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you. And bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Elena.
See you later.
Comment, Elena. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.